hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Now I want y'all to remember that here in just a second. Welcome back to the Perkins Perspective. I'm Denny. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Well, it's going to be a lot different. You see, I was asked a question in town the other day, and I just felt like I needed to explain it a little bit, and I wanted to talk about it. But I want you to remember what I just said to begin this video. Now, I was asked a question in town. I was talking to a young man, and the young man was just as nice and just as cordial as he could be and whatnot. But when he walked away, I had someone a little bit older than myself said, "What is wrong with the young people today?" Well, I gave her an answer, and she didn't like my answer. But it's the answer I gave her, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I told her. It's all of our fault. Not necessarily you, not necessarily me, but our generation's fault, our parents' generation's fault. Because, as I stated before, it's our fault. And I'm going to explain that to you through my family. Back when my dad was born and my mom was born, their parents all fought in World War II. World War II, before that, there was the Great Depression. These people had nothing. Nothing. It was hard times all the way around. So what happened? The men got strong. They had to. They had to grow their food so they would survive. They had to provide for their families. They raised their own meat. They raised their own everything. In the garden, if they didn't get the vegetables, if the crops didn't come out right, they went hungry. That's just the way it was. That made them stronger internally. Now, when they had their kids coming back from World War II, that's my daddy and my mama's generation, they had it just a little bit easier, but still, when they got out of school, they was out in the cotton fields picking cotton. They was growing their own gardens still. They was providing for themselves. And if they didn't, they went hungry. And a lot of times, coming back from the war and whatnot, these people had problems. My grandfather had a very bad problem when he came back. Now, bring it on in. Their kid, Papa's kids started having kids, Daddy and them. Daddy and them started having kids. That's my generation. My generation had it easier in a lot of ways than they had it. So therefore, we had good TVs. We had carpet in the floor. Who would have thought carpet in the floor was a big deal back then? But it was. It was. We had it a lot easier than they had it. Our parents could go to the grocery store and get groceries for us. And we always had food. We didn't have to worry about going without as much. Now, we also grew our own food and all that too, but it was more or less like we're going to use this if we run out of this type situation. So we had it even easier really than they did. Then my generation started having children too. My generation, we all said, well, we weren't allowed to do this, we weren't allowed to do that. We made it even easier on our kids. And guess what? It made them a little bit weaker because they didn't have to fight. They didn't have to grow. My kids, they wouldn't even know how to crank a tiller and run it if it saved their lives. They don't know how to put the right amount of stuff in the garden and the ground to make the dirt good and make it break up and not use as much of this and not use that. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to use limestone to put in there, and fertilizer to do it right. If you put my kids out there and tell them go fertilize a row of peas, the peas will burn up because they don't know. Because we never thought to train them into doing it because we didn't like getting out there picking peas and doing all that either. So we just went away from gardening. There's not that many my age really out there that I know of that'll get out and plant a garden like I do. I'll get out until I got sick and I couldn't. I would plant half my field nearly in a garden. But it was something that I liked to do. I raised my kids picking peas and doing things. But most kids weren't raised that way. As a matter of fact, my oldest son had a friend one time that told him he was being abused because I was making him do that kind of stuff. And I was making him cut the grass. And I was making him do that stuff. Easy times make for weak men. And we did it. We didn't keep them on the same trajectory that we was on. It always goes down. And now we're to the point now, I believe, where we have gotten to the point where the easy times are starting to create weaker men. You see, I'm going to tell you from just being a baseball coach for years and playing baseball for years, it was unheard of when we were coming up and playing ball that if you got under third place that you got a trophy. You are not being rewarded for mediocrity. You are being rewarded for winning. Nowadays, and when my kids were coming up, now it's these kids deserve a trophy, a participation trophy because they tried. No, when I coached, I made a lot of parents mad at me, but dadgummit, they were not going to get a trophy if they didn't place in first, second, or third, and I hated giving a third place trophy. It was not really going to be done. And I had parents that would throw a fit at me, but they tried. That's what's wrong with the young people today. We babied them too much. It's our fault. And I'm tired of hearing people blame them for what we messed up. Now, it's not too late to change them. It's not too late to turn this whole thing around. All we've got to do is allow them to grow up. I have seen and I have heard too many people call a 30-year-old a kid. That's bunk. Once you reach 18 years old, you can vote. Once you reach 18 years old, you can go and serve your country in a combat zone. Don't tell me those 18-year-olds aren't adults. They are. All it takes is making them grow up. My two kids, when they graduated high school, both of them was made to get out and get a job. Make your own way. My youngest one does really, 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 really well with it because he's a tightwad. My oldest one, he had a little struggle coming up and doing, and I helped him along the way. That's what we should do. Help them when they need help, but make them do it on their own. Now, I'm going to end this video the same way I began. And I want you to think about it. Hard times make for strong men. Strong men make for easy times. Easy times make for weak men. Weak men make for hard times. Y'all be good, and I'll talk to you later.